Welcome to the Digital Signage Today podcast. I'm Daniel Brown, editor of Digital Signage Today. Please do remember to like and subscribe for new episodes. We've got some outstanding content coming up this summer and fall. And today we've got an extremely special guest, Mike Slovin. You're joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience real quick?
Daniel, great to see you again. Thanks for having me. My name is Mike Slovin. I'm the Vice President and General Manager for Comcast Smart Solutions. And we help businesses and enterprises and communities implement smart technology through a variety of ways, helping them be more sustainable, be more efficient and effective, and solve specific business needs.
I love that. And I think it's been, we talked maybe last year. So a lot of stuff has been happening. And what I love about these conversations is we can kind of track those predictions and see, which ones came true, which ones are taking longer. But I love that you mentioned sustainability because we have been covering a ton of that. And I think it's becoming big in the markets. So I'm going to try to consolidate 50 billion questions into about 15 minutes here. In the past year since we chatted, what are some of the biggest updates and trends that you've observed in this space?
Okay. Yeah, I think since we last talked, we talked a lot about smart cities and how we're helping cities implement very smart technologies to be more efficient, effective, manage traffic flow, provide a safer community. I think some of the trends really are around how cities and businesses are just becoming more comfortable with smart technology. So we're helping them move from really marveling at smart technology to monetizing it and really helping them solve specific business needs in their particular segment. So as an example, we worked with the city of Philadelphia, College Park, Georgia, which is where the Atlanta airport is, one of the busiest airports in the world, really help implement video solutions that help monitor traffic flow, environmental services, and really provide unique insights that allow them to do more with urban planning or create a more safer and sustainable community.
And again, I love that you keep mentioning sustainability. That's a core mission statement for your group, right? You guys have been working heavily there.
Definitely. I think anything around how do you help a business be more successful with those areas and just be more efficient and effective in general. And certainly sustainability is top of mind. Energy and water are the two largest costs typically of an enterprise. So really being able to impact those has really helped us engage businesses and help them improve their operations.
And we've all seen the headlines. I mean, with the climate situation, with the resource crises, energy, water, being smarter with database decision-making for resource management is helping the entire planet. So it makes me excited when I hear people talk about this. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I really want to ask, too, as we enter the coming year, and we just saw some interesting stuff with AI, what are the biggest things you want us to watch for in the industry? What are the big trends?
It's always tough to predict, right? But I think if you mention AI, I think AI is certainly in the smart space going to be a trend to watch. Specifically in the smart space, probably just how does AI provide data insights? So if you think about video analytics and AI, it has the ability to really compile massive amounts of data that you weren't able to do before. So for a business, you can now capture that data. AI provides some meaningful insights that allow you to take action. So I think that's a trend to watch out for is how do businesses really take advantage of having more data than ever before and how they leverage that to improve their customer experience or their operations. Maybe one other trend would be just overall in the energy management space. We talked a little bit about the high costs or the largest costs for enterprises of energy and water. And I think being able to focus on that space, it's very complex. I think the industry and the energy companies are doing a really good job simplifying that process, providing more transparency of energy consumption, energy costs. And it's allowing businesses to take that data and do some really cool things to manage their usage, reduce their consumption, and save cost as well.
I love that. I've been seeing some of the cloud data centers, especially for large firms. They've gotten to the point where the microchips that control power management by the main chips are able to use AI to save like a micro or a milliamp, per second or whatever it is. And you scale that times a billion chips across an organization. That starts really saving a lot of energy, a lot of money. It's incredible.
Definitely. I think it's interesting how we just talked about two of the trends, but they work together, right? AI as a trend can help energy management as well. So interesting links.
Accelerating returns through synergy. I love it. That's why this space is so exciting, literally, if you're a futurist. Now, listen, last year we discussed a lot of things. One thing we talked about was how the smart industry was estimated around 100 billion at that time. How big is the industry now? And are we going to see continued growth in this segment?
I think that's about right. I think it'll continue to grow. If you think about just particular verticals, think about digital signage space, that's predicted to double over the next 10 years. Partly, I think, because, and what we'll see as a trend is the smart solutions will continue not just to be more broad. How do you think about traffic flow in general, but specific to industries? So you'll really be able to get more solutions and deeper into the business with these smart solutions.
I love that. Are there any specific areas you think are going to just explode, or which categories?
Yeah, I think when you look at the space in general, you'll see, I think, a faster adoption over the next 3 to 5 years than in the past 3 to 5 years of smart technology. Again, businesses are becoming more comfortable with smart tech. Costs are coming down. The complexity is coming down. The thought leadership in the space is growing around that space. And then the second piece, I think, would be back to that industry and the verticals going deeper. Maybe I'll give you an example in digital signage. Think about the revolution of menu boards and digital signage that's already happened. And now adding things like self-service and kiosks that allow customers to self-serve, create their own experience with that particular company. We've actually added a company called Rivalry Tech, and they're in that self-serve kiosk space, but they're going deeper by connecting to the back office. So they're really changing the fulfillment process. So you're taking the self-service of the kiosk and then linking it back to the kitchen and inventory. So I think those trends are just going deeper in a particular segment or vertical are going to be very interesting to watch.
So if I've run out of onions, the customer's not going to see onions on the screen or something like that, basically.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Which boosts customer experience and satisfaction.
Exactly. You're showing them from inventory, from pricing, from workforce management, what you want them to see at any given time of the day.
That's amazing. And listen, you already anticipated several of my questions. We kind of talked about sustainability in the smart grid. Just very briefly, we kind of lagged, I guess, in a way with the EV transition, the electric vehicle transition from what the futurists said around the year 2000. What's slowing us down? And are we making progress? And how long will it be? Are we heading towards an electric future?
It's an interesting question. I think EV was one of our newer products. We actually, in our initial set, didn't have at launch EV charging infrastructure as a solution, but in particular, our multifamily property owners were saying, "Hey, we need help. It's a fast-growing amenity in that space, and we need help with expertise and ongoing support of that." So we partnered with a company called NovaCharge to really help us provide that turnkey solution of design, implementation, and support for charging infrastructure. And I think that example goes back to the question of it sounds easy. Oh, we'll go pick a company and we'll add some EV chargers to our business, to our parking lot as an amenity for residents, for all those applications. But it's pretty complicated. And that's where businesses sort of say, well, gee, I'm frozen in what I do next. So I think that's really what's become our job, is to really help demystify and simplify the process, bring in the right ecosystem of partners to be able to say, hey, let us help you design specific to your needs a solution that makes sense, and make sure we're going to support it on an ongoing basis as well.
And that's the theme I'm seeing across these connected industries, is building an ecosystem to make it easy for the consumer. Hey, here's a solution. You don't have to, spend weeks researching. This just works.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we've seen that a lot. And as we talked about last time we spoke around cities tended to start off large and try to solve a lot of problems at once. And what we found is if you really focus on a particular business problem, solve that and grow from there, you really can exponentially take that immediate solution and that network you've built for that, and then add more value and solve more business problems.
We'll have a separate follow-up episode just to talk about EVs because I'm so excited about some of this. There's new stuff happening. Super briefly, also, I just finished a cross-country trip. It was really cool. Saw the West Coast, California, Oregon, you name it. It was fascinating. But the legacy traffic systems were a little bit nuts for me. And I've been reading, more and more people are talking. How long till we see widespread adoption of smart traffic systems for efficiency?
Yeah, I think the experience you had, right, a lot of us have had, can be frustrating, especially if you can see what optimized traffic flow means and can do. So I think the industry is getting better, and it goes back to that example of starting small. And we talked a little about earlier, College Park, Georgia. One of the applications we work with them was using video analytics to determine pedestrian and automotive traffic flow to really understand. So what's happening today? How does that inform urban planning so they can start to think about, okay, how do we change traffic patterns? How do we change roads, expand our infrastructure going forward using all that available data? So I think cities are starting to adopt that, getting smarter about it. And the way it can be done is a lot more cost effective than back when it initially started, and then sort of stopped from there as the ROI wasn't quite as robust as I think some of the cities thought that it would be.
So having an investor's mindset and a long-term view, you will see the ROI. It just takes time for some of these systems to come into play. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so we're down to two questions. We're going to try to cram them in. We'll see. We'll see. So with creating the smarter world, I see you guys, you have so many segments that you're bringing together and blending. You're reducing waste. You're creating energy efficiency, sustainability. There's even mental health and economic growth factors here. I'm curious, as we see this expand in the coming decades, what do you think the ripple effects across society will be as we make everything smarter?
That's a big question, Daniel. I think there are a lot of ways it can go. I think overall, smart technology has the ability to create a lot of positive change. It can add jobs and add to the economy by implementing some of these technologies. It can, as we talked about, reduce waste, improve efficiencies, make companies more sustainable. So I think there's a lot of positive ways to implement it. And I think our job really as Smart Solutions is to help businesses figure out, how do you manage that complexity? Where do you start? And how do you build off a solution that can really benefit you, whether it's being more competitive, whether it's improving those efficiencies and being more sustainable, improving safety, and just building from there. So I think that's really where a lot of the cities and communities are that we work with are in that stage of building piece by piece with the anticipation of really being able to solve many of their top issues over the next several years.
I love that. I love that. Well, if I can cram a lot into one question, getting specific to, I spend a lot of time in digital signage, automation, self-service. Specific to these areas, do you see any big trends we should watch for the coming couple of years?
It's interesting. We talked a little about digital signage and self-service. I think that's a trend to watch. You've seen a lot of self-service happening. As you think about, as an example, quick serve restaurants and self-service with kiosks, the need for kiosks from a business perspective, workforces are getting more expensive. How do you take that workforce and have them doing something that can be done without interacting with the customer? If the customer can self-service, create their own experience that they really like and enjoy because they can scroll through and pick the things that they want without the pressure of a time in front of somebody, helps the business, helps improve customer experience. And I think that's from the news perspective why we talked a little bit about partnering with Rivalry Tech because they enable those technologies to really connect that kiosk, those self-service mobile experiences with the back office. So I think great avenue to watch is the self-service piece and what it will do to allow the customer to really choose how they want to engage with a business.
Especially with this crazy, crazy labor shortage we've been saying, holy cow, it's just not getting better, it seems.
Exactly. I think adding Rivalry Tech to our existing digital signage partnerships with Quantella and CRI really allows us to then have that full portfolio to work with customers and engage with them on how do they speak to their customers and how they have an opportunity to drive new revenue streams.
That's huge. That's huge. Well, listen, Mike, I hope we can have you on many more times in the future because you have you're a busy guy and you see everything that's happening in the different segments, but you also get the big picture. And that's what we need. We need to see what's coming down the pike. So you're one of our top experts. Thank you for making time for us. I hate to say it, I think we're up against the hard stop here, but thank you for making time for the Digital Signage Today podcast. I am Daniel Brown, editor of Digital Signage Today, and this has been Mike Slovin and VP of, what was your title again?
VP Smart Solutions. And great to be here. Thanks again, Daniel.
Yes, thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it. And we'll be following your work with great interest. Where can people follow you, by the way? Are you on social media?
Follow us, Smart Solutions, on LinkedIn. You can go to our website, which is smartsolutions.comcast.com.
That's right. You heard it here. Mike Slovin, VP of Smart Solutions at Comcast. Very exciting stuff. And we'll chat again very soon, I hope.
All right. Thanks, Daniel.